part, and they have these nails, and I want to watch this nail now. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, here's another one. Oh man, it's gone. Hey, how about a number 16 and a 2x4? Well, I couldn't hold that back, but look at that. What do you think? I'll tell you more about this later. All right, so here's how you make my nail shooter, nail remover. You need a Harbor Freight 18 gauge brad nailer. Here's one that's all together. You don't have to take this thing apart now. This is kind of what it's going to look like when you get it all apart. Now, when you take this thing apart, the top up here, the plunger, has this little flat slide that goes up inside of this cylinder end right here. And what I've done is taken it out, drill a hole out, and put a 5/16 rod in here. Actually, it's done came a little loose. But anyway, yeah, you have to remove this. Put this rod in there. And that's going to be your power out your nail with. Now, you'll need to make a barrel. And I used a piece of 5/8 stock, bored it for 11-30 seconds, so this thing runs in and out there real easy. Then reinforced it. This piece of 1/2-inch stock here with, these are 5mm holes. And of course I had to put a little shim right here. That shim will go on there and it'll keep this thing straight, so this will slide through pretty easy. So, get a close look at that. That's what the barrel looks like. So when you put this back together, actually this cylinder end comes out of here too, but there's no need to remove it right now. So when I put this back on, I want to make sure I get that spacer back in there. And at this time I'm going to go ahead and put that plunger back in and get all this lined up. Should come straight through. And now you can get your barrel on there. Makes it easier to line up. Once you get it on there and you tighten this thing down, then you'll know whether it's straight or not and whether your plunger is going to move back and forth. And right at the moment, I don't know of any other way of making these parts except, you know, you're going to have to bore it out and stuff like that, so you might need to get into a machine shop or something. Or have a guy make you one. And for some reason, this doesn't want to go back together. That spacer is holding it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the plunger back out of here. And now, let's put this in here. And start the screws. Now I need that spacer in there, and I gotta have that spacer the way I made mine. So alright, so now we got the spacer in there. Let's go ahead and put this back in there too, the plunger, so make sure we get everything lined up. You'll know everything's lined up when the plunger will move back and forth real easy. Looks just like a gun barrel, doesn't it? Sights on it. This really was not hard to make. Now, once you get everything tightened down, push your plunger, make sure it'll come out, because now you know it's loose, and that way you know it's going to work. And then put it back in there. Now you have this top. This top is several pieces here. One of them is you have an O-ring down underneath of there, the cap on it. You have a spring in there, and your top piston or exhaust. Yeah. Of course, this is spring loaded, so you need to put two opposite screws back in to help line it up. And one of the screws I put in there was the wrong one. I wouldn't know. Yeah, keep putting all these in. Once you get them started, you can let go of that end because it's going to hold that spring down. Almost like dead air. I had to turn the big fan off because it was making too much noise, so it's starting to heat up in here. Alright, so we're almost done with this thing actually. Alright, so we got that all tight. Now the next thing you're going to have to do is remove this trigger because there's a safety in here. The only thing holding the shaft in on this trigger, as you can see right there, the shaft that holds the trigger on just has no ring on it. And all you gotta do is just pop that little sucker off. Of course, don't lose it. When you pop this pin out, there's gonna be a spring underneath of here. Right here. Now, what you need to do with this safety, you need to get this safety up square. So what I did was just cut a tiny block of piece of wood, put it over here and behind your safety, and of course you got to get it back up here, and you want it at about, setting it about like that. And now put your spring back on the trigger here, and we're going to put the shaft back in this. And take the O-ring, put it back on here, so that because that's really all that holds your trigger on, is that pin with that O-ring on it. And you don't want to go back on there either, but it will make it go on. Alright, got it all back on there, so now you can see that O-ring holds that shaft. So now, I mean, it's ready to go, really. Now I have this thing cut. You can see how far that thing comes from the end. Now, let's go get a piece of wood. And we can do this. Just push it right out of there. The only problem is these 16 gauge nails, when you go to take this thing out, you want to take and get it in a position where you can really hold on to it, because it'll drive it out of there. Oh, came out that time. Well, there you go. There's how to make a nail shooter remover. And Give it a try. Make your own. This can be done. You can do this. So have a good day now.